General dynamics. First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So we go here to economic signals, and then we go to a portfolio called warfare. So 37% here from the low, and minus 14-ish% pullback. So here we have general dynamics that are in the military vehicles business, 51% here from the low, and approaching a minus 6-ish% pullback. So here is the website. So they are into aerospace, marine systems, combat systems, like land vehicles, like these tanks, also technologies. So they have a broader portfolio in this whole military space. This is the big picture, and we did recently pull back here to this purple 20-week moving average. And it has been a pretty good support level, as you can see in the past, but it can also become resistance, like we saw here. When we go to the daily data points, then we have the blue 100-day moving average. So you can see that there's a lot of history here. So the primary assumption would be that we will see support. That thesis is strengthened by the fact, as you can see with this candlestick, on Friday, the bulls, they started to buy, as we approached that moving average. And that is, that's a bullish signal. No guarantee that it will work, but it increases the odds that we will see a self-reinforcing, bullish effect. You could argue here that we might form something called the inverse head and shoulders pattern. So let's draw it in with the tool. Let's actually have blue instead, like that. So here we have somewhat of a messy inverse head and shoulder pattern. Now let's look at the indicators to our right. We have seen a deterioration here on the weekly MACD in momentum. Something we just have to be aware of. Looking here at the PPO, the distance from the 100-week moving average and also the 50-week moving average, it is towards the higher end of the spectrum. So that is somewhat of a risk factor, but now let's explore further. When we go here to the daily data points, we do see that the current RSI level, it has a history of forming the low. Like here we have the same level, boom, it formed the low here. Here we did get a bit of a bounce. In this instance we did actually go lower. We went all the way here to the lowest end of the RSI range until we technically become oversold. But when we look here at the history of RSI, even if we go even more big picture, you see that even when we go back here to 2011, it is very common for the bulls to step up here when we reach this level. So yeah, that does reinforce a bullish thesis. When we go to the seasonality, over the last 5 years, then October has not been good, nor September, but November has been very strong. Over the last 10 years, we do see that the weakness of October, but then again November is very strong. Over the last 20 years, and then September is a pretty decent month, October is one of the weakest, but November is very strong. So I think that we could argue here that the seasonality is a bit messy, because we do have that weakness in October, but the strength of November, it could also reduce the interest from the bears. When we go to Finviz, they do have these trend lines, and they do show a bit of a break there. When we look at analyst price targets, so vis-a-vis the current stock price, You see here that we have to go all the way back to 2020 to find a price target that is lower than the current price. If we, as an example, look at Wells Fargo, their target price of $2016, that would be an 11% upside, which would be bullish. Looking at Saks, number 3 hold, but we have an A value score, A growth, and A momentum. So the style scores are, it can't get better. So that's bullish, obviously. Industry rank, bottom 28%, not that bullish. The dividend yield is 2.44%, so that's good. It's a big company. So if I were to sum up my take here for this theme first, the theme is, it certainly represents an industry that has a lot of power. So no matter which, country you look at, and you look at different industries and how far they can go, it's pretty clear that, the military industry, it does have a lot of power that you just don't see it in any other industry. So they have a tendency to get their way. That is, beneficial for the stock price of the companies in that industry. We did find a key stop level on General Dynamics. In the technicals, the seasonality was messy, but the fundamentals looked pretty darn good.